So, welcome to another video here at Back to Classics, and today is all about this wonderful 1973 Ducati 750 Sport. And this bike is for sale. So let's go over the history of the 750 Sport a little bit, because we have covered that on this YouTube channel quite a lot. So we can link up a few videos actually explaining more about this model and how it came about. But just a quick overview of that historic background. Of course, Ducati came up with the 750 V-twin, the first twin of that company. Now, which is it so famous for, but back in the day it was the first iteration that came to market in 1972 as the 750 GT. That same year, a very small quantity of 750 Sports also was produced. Right from the start, Ducati envisioned to have a more sporty model along with the 750 GT available, and that became the 1972 initial series of 750 Sports, called the Z-stripe or Z-stripe, depending on where you're coming from. But it is a very small quantity bike, very special. Around 50 were made in 1972. So you could argue whether that is a real production model. You could also say it's a pre-production model, but the regular production of the 750 Sport actually really began in 1973. So to go over the little details and the differences between the 72 a little bit. When they came to market in 73, it was actually a complete new model, albeit in the same color and with the same basic idea behind it. But the frame was now for the first time the narrower frame. We can show you pictures of some details, especially around the seat. It was much narrower, much more sporty oriented. So where the 750 GT continued to have this wider frame, the Sport now got a much narrower frame that we also saw in iteration of with the green frame later on, the 750 Super Sport. But the 750 Sport in 73, here we see a restored example. It featured a new fiberglass fuel tank, new seat for the narrower frame obviously, but the engine was still largely the same as in 1972. So it got these PHF 32 carburetors fitted like the earlier bike. So that was unchanged, like the front fork, specific as well for the 1972 and 73 models. This Marzocchi leading axle fork, we call it leading axle because the axle line is a few millimeters in front of the line of the front fork. So that's specific for these earlier 750 Sports, and little details as well. We can go over them in later on in this video. So that's the 73 model, and then there's a final year of production for the 750 Sport, and that was 74. Now we will feature a 74 bike in the near future, so be sure to check out and subscribe this channel so you'll be notified when that episode is published. But to go over the details again, very few. The 74 model received the steel fuel tank rather than one made from fiberglass. And the engine covers now are no longer black painted, but are polished aluminium, just again like the 750 GT and the Super Sport received. The front fork was changed as well. There are a few versions of that in 1974, but at least all of them got the center axle front fork. And some other changes as well, but these are rather minor. So today we're talking about this 1973 model. So let's go over the details a little bit more. So this particular bike, it was restored by us in 2012, so 12 years ago already, and it was at that time restored to a completely original specification. And it was, we also had it professionally photographed at the time by our good friend and house photographer Ernst Klip. And we'll drop in some pictures here of the photo shoot that was done at the time. Well, it was, like I said, restored to the original specification, so with a correct fiberglass fuel tank, the black painted engine covers, the Marzocchi leading axle front fork with Scarab brakes, and a few other details like the electronic rev counter. That's also something that was specific for the 1972 and 73 models. And at the time it was also featured on the cover of this magazine, the Benzina magazine. I believe it was the 2013, yeah correct, 2013 issue. Again, these are the photographs made by Ernst Klipp. So at the time we supplied this bike to a collector who kept it in a very good condition, as you can see here. Since then, only 2,000 kilometers were ridden with this bike, so very, very few. It was in a heated garage. Now we went over it a little bit, just a quick service, and you can report that everything is 100%, and the bike is good to go in all aspects. So let's go over the details a little bit more and make some close-ups of this bike. So let's have a look at this bike. You can see the front wheel to start with, original Borani wheel with stainless steel spokes on the original Grimeca hub, and the refurbished Scarab calipers. This bike has the optional dual disc front brake system with the dual Scarab system in there, and of course that is fitted to the Marzocchi leading axle front fork. Here is the JOD headlight, again all original with the 3 dashboard lights on top of that. Scarab master cylinder that was recently restored to replace the non-original item that was fitted earlier. We were able to source this original master cylinder. Fiberglass fuel tank, as discussed, all beautifully painted back in 2012. And here you can see the instrument panel with the electronic rev counter. Engine was fully rebuilt by us again in 2012 and has since run only 2,000 kilometers. And there is an electronic ignition system fitted there to replace the points, which is not visible from the outside, but much better and doesn't require any maintenance whatsoever. So black painted engine covers, original Marzocchi rear shocks, the early type, and again the original Borani wheel, Conti exhausts. It's beautiful weather outside, so let's take this bike out for a ride and for you to come along, and I hope that gives an even better impression of what this bike is all about. They're meant to be ridden, of course, so that's what we're going to do. So back in the workshop, as you can see, a beautiful test ride. Nothing to report, bike is performing very, very well. So we're actually done with looking after this bike for now. Like I said, it's a beautiful restoration that is performed now 12 years ago, but it is kept in a beautiful condition, in a heated garage, and that is, you can tell from the bike as it is shown here. It is a wonderful original example and all correct for the 1973 model year, except for maybe that electronic ignition system that can be regarded as a nice upgrade over the original point. So, this bike is for sale, as I said. We'll put up a link in the description below, so you can go to our website for more information about this bike and more pictures of it. And if you want to have more details, if you have any questions about this bike, please do not hesitate to contact us, so we can arrange for more information or perhaps a appointment to come see this bike in person and even perhaps take it for a ride. So that concludes this video here at Back to Classics. We thank you very much for watching. Toedeledokie, see you next time.